You know how you become a millionaire being a car builder, don't you?
Yeah, you got to start with 3, I think it is.
Start with 3 is right.
Yeah. Oh,
So good.
It's more the passion in the journey than the destination, huh?
I think so. For whatever reason, God gave us the smell of that gasoline at a young age, and you just can't kick it. You either have it or you don't. And there's people that want to try to buy it. You just can't. It's in you. That's why we're probably some of the craziest people to work as hard as we do for as little as we do and still be happy at the end. So
awesome.
it's such a satisfying thing at the end, you know, when you see what you do and you see the reaction of other people, that it doesn't get old.
Welcome back to another episode of Modify with Trickfactory Customs. If this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Tim?
Rob. We have some amazing guests today that we have been admiring from afar for a long time. And you guys can introduce yourselves.
I'm Jim Ring, and this is my brother Mike Ring, and we're the Dingling brothers.
Yes. For people that do not know you guys are very well known in the custom car world. But we have a lot of listeners from all over the place. And so just tell us about your story and how you guys started building cars.
We're small town boys from a town of 600 people. And there was really nothing in our town, so we had to figure out how to get to another town to find some women or wanted to spend some time with us. So we started tinkering with cars. But early on, a funny story, we've told this before, but it's pretty funny. I had bought this old Pontiac, which is complete piece of junk, but it was cool. You know, it was like a 62 Grand Prix or something. And I had it in front of my mother's house, and Mike and his buddies thought they'd be funny and drive up the street with his pile of shit Oldsmobile and pretty much go right down the driver's side of my car, take all the door handles off, the mirrors off. And I'm looking out the window, just mad as hell at him. And so I jump in my car. Obviously, I had to go on the passenger side because there was no door handles on the driver's side anymore, and jump in that thing and tear ass down to the gas station, which he had parked in there. And I went between the pumps and I T-boned his car as hard as I could.
Oh, wow.
Literally caved both doors in, and his car was junk and mine was junk. And I said, "You deal with it. I'm going home." And I just left both piles of shit there. And
Wow.
Yeah, so we've always kind of been into cars. You know, I went in the Navy right out of pretty much high school. And I had a GTO in the basement. And I remember coming home on leave and I said, "Where's my GTO?" He said, "I sold it."
Oh, wow.
He said, "I spent it." So
Oh, no.
somebody's got a GTO out there, convertible 69, that used to be mine, and they really legally do not own that car. It's still mine.
I hope you got good money for it at least.
But no, I went in the Navy and got out, did construction. Jim did the same. He bought a Camaro down in Chicago, 69 pace car, convertible. Fixed it up, sold it, started a restoration business. And, you know, like most restoration businesses, he wasn't making any money.
yeah, my wife would ask me at the end of the week, "How'd we do this week?" I said, $400. She goes, "Well, that's not too bad." I go, "No, that's what we owe."
Yeah. We got a similar story here.
And it's so true, you know. So he was doing that, and his buddy got tired of paying every week or month. So he built a new shop. He actually made money by selling that building. Built the shop that we're in right now. It's a small 5,000 square foot building, and he had a fast oil change in it. And we just did whatever we could to make a living. I came back, bought in. We were just changing oil, brakes, exhaust, whatever it took. Had a little collision shop, which is still here today. But Jim got always bored with just doing collision, and restoration really wasn't his thing because it's, you know, it was always about what was wrong with when you were done. You know, they judge you by what was wrong. So it got kind of boring. So we just started cutting cars up and doing whatever we liked, selling them for a loss, like pretty much everybody.
Yep.
Till finally somebody liked what we did and asked us to build something. And that was really about a car called Kona. It was kind of sold it right in the middle. And then we actually did the Reactor, which was probably the car that really put us on the map in about, honestly, 06-ish. We had built cars before that, but that's really probably when we got noticed the most after that car. We won SEMA as far as the Mother Shine Award, which was kind of the big award then. And then we kind of just started building parts off of things that we did because we wanted them. And I don't know, the rest is kind of where we're at today.
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta back it up a little bit because
Yeah.
we also are in the same industry. So when you spoke about selling the shop and making money after having made no money, I don't know if you have the same wife that you did at that time, but for the rest of us shop owners, how did you convince her to double down and go all the way in and build another shop?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, I think Jim, go ahead.
And why? It just was a lot of grit and a lot of luck. And, I'm still married to the same person, my loving wife, and he hung with us. And here we are today, a couple old men that still like the smell of body fart.
So yeah, I think if you got that passion, it's you're afraid to do something else. I mean, you really don't want to go back. I didn't, we both had young kids at the time and didn't really want to go back to what we were doing. And it was worth the gamble, right? I mean, it was like what you're passionate about is if you're gonna make it work. I mean, you're almost too stupid to try to figure it out, right? I mean, banks want you to do a business plan and whatever. If that was the case, we'd never be anywhere because there's no way we could have written a plan of how we got to where we are. Because
Yeah.
Jim said, it's just grit and passion and doing
Just,
what you say you're going to do.
yeah, it doesn't really math out very well when you break it down like business plan. You're like, this is not a good business idea. But that passion, that grit, that fear of doing anything other than what your path is enough to drive you a lot of times. And like we've been at it now for 20 plus years, and that's the driving force behind it all. It's like, I don't want to do anything else. Like, I can't imagine anything else.
Plus, I don't think we have the ability to do anything else at this point.
Yeah, when you get that deep in, you're like, oh man, So did you guys have any formal background in metalwork, car, any kind of anything? Like, Mike, what'd you learn in the Navy? Did you have any kind of formal training?
I was a rescue swimmer in the Navy and anti-submarine warfare. I had nothing to do with what we did, but
Right.
I did work in our hobby shop we had on base where they had tools, and I was always painting somebody's car, doing something like that. As far as formal training, no, Jim and I just hard knocks, learning by what didn't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, oftentimes,
Most money.
sorry, like oftentimes that seems to be the one way to learn the most is like through failure. If you recognize what it is, it's like you automatically learn a really valuable lesson. Most people, they don't really think about it like that, but that's a hard fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have dumpsters full of bad ideas.
Heck yeah, right? Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the key is that you can't talk yourself. Well, I've tried 100 times. Talk yourself into that it's cool, even if it's not. You gotta know inside that, so many times we do something, it takes a lot of time, and you charge your customer for it, and then you just look back and go, it looks like shit.
Yeah.
It looked good, it felt good, and then you're trying to talk yourself into that it's good, and it's not. So
Yeah.
That's a really hard part when you're so heavily invested, is to just let it go and move on.
We have like dumpsters full of those little moments of failure too. And it is what it is.
Well executed failures.
Do you guys still eat any of that stuff? Sometimes you make some things and you're like, it didn't turn out like you thought it was going to be. And so do you still end up eating that stuff, or how does it work with translating? Do you pass it on to the client?
I think now we definitely spend more money on the design up front taking some of that guesswork out. It doesn't mean it's going to be right or you're going to make it the way it looks, but it's really, I think, really good money spent is on a design, just like an architect on a house, where in the beginning there wasn't really anybody helping you with that. There wasn't anybody out there to do that, where you just kind of went with your gut and what was cool. And we were lucky enough. Some people thought it was cool, but today the designer really helps a lot, not throw as much away.
Yeah.
How do you guys work that into your plan? Because like we still get customers that come in and like they expect you to just start banging metal the first day. And it's like, what's going on? What's going on? And you're like, trust the process. Like, because for us, because we spend so much time literally putting their ideas a lot of the times in the garbage, but you almost had to make them just to show them that they were bad. And then we had the same problem with some things that we did, but now we do a lot of like 3D renders and CAD design and all this kind of stuff to mitigate that. But we still have customers that are like, you can show them the render and they're like, okay, let's start hammering it out. And you're like, so like, how do you guys incorporate, like, what kind of timeline do you put to that before you start banging steel kind of thing?
I think the older you get, you learn what not to do. A lot of times, I mean, you definitely figured out what not to use, what not to do, and it definitely helps speed things up because you know what's junk really at this point, what's not. That's helped tremendously, and obviously going back to what Mike said, is having a designer that kind of puts the picture in front of you, and it lets you think a little more three-dimensionally at that point, and put it together in your head. Because let's face it, pretty much all these cars have brakes and wiring and less, and you build the thing in your head, and then you finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you're right, though. Everybody, it's like going to a car show and they want to grab you and pull you over to their car and say, what would you do? And you're like, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have no clue. And as you guys know, it just kind of comes to you day by day. And you're right. I mean, it's hard with the owners. The money's definitely the hardest part. And, we all as builders want to do is as cool as we can, but we need a lot of money to do that. And we're always trying to convince the owner that it's going to be cool. It's the tough part. And we really don't know. We just want to spend as much money as we can to make it as cool as we can. And, but you're right. That's hard when the owners want to just get going. The money's easy in the beginning. It's,
It always is.
chassis fun, motors fun. Trying to get them to run at the end, that's where you wish you could just say, okay, I'm 3/4, I'm ready to move on to the next one, because it's not fun to dial them in and there's no money left.
They love buying parts, but hate paying for labor, these guys.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, like, the amount of time, like, I'm sure you guys have noticed in your business, like the social media side of it and the pictures, it's like the evolution of them. There's no grand reveal. Like, I'm sending hundreds and hundreds of pictures, like line for line item on the bill, to make sure that they're understanding where things are going. Because a lot of times I don't think they, like, even we have a car that's 2 days away from paint, and to us, we're like, hey, like, we're almost there. This is like the fun part's just around the corner. To them, they're like, man, I'm halfway through your estimate and it doesn't look like you did anything. So it's like mitigating that part of it is like, it's such a struggle now, because a lot of the stuff they see happens so quickly.
Yeah, it seems like they're in fab jail forever. It's like, God, and and you think you spent all this money, but I've always said it's like you get it out of fab and you're about halfway home as far as what money you know what I mean? You think you spent all this money on chassis, motor, all the big, but really it gets out of fab and you're only about whatever you got in that car, you might as well double it. And that's probably about where it's going to be when you're done.
It's funny you say that, because like I just had our little project audit and it's like I was exactly halfway. And I was like, the thing's ready for paint. And it's like, I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, we're just perfect right on budget. And they can't see the shiny bits yet. So it's like, now we got another big push. And as soon as it comes out of paint, they think you're going to be done. He literally asked me if I could have it done by the 15th. This was 3 days ago. I was like, what? Like, if you look at my estimate, like, we still got another 500 hours to go. And I don't know how you expect me to accomplish that by Wednesday, but no, absolutely not.
But it's painted, and we saw it on TV. And
Yeah,
they do a complete car in a
It-
week.
we should be driving it by Friday.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so
Chip booth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we always thank Chip when we see him for that.
Yeah. Yeah, they never seem to math it out that there's 25 highly skilled people in the room going 24 hours a day. It's like, just stretch those hours out into a normal work day, and it's 6-8 weeks still.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys commit to a number on your builds?
We leave it a little bit open-ended because like a lot of the stuff is like Restomod stuff. It's kind of easy because it's known, but they always start wanting to tweak stuff and leave the back end open because they start to want to personalize, and it gets crazy. And so it's tough to plan. Like, we have one customer now, like, we've been going back and forth on a paint color for a month, but they still think, the timeline stays the same. It's like, well, I can't do anything till I paint the car. I can't put it together till the car is painted. So it's like mitigating all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's crazy. And then getting married to something like that is basically to the name of the color. It's like, I can create this color, no problem for you, but they need it because this is like a very specific color that came on a specific car, and they want that association. And you're just like, oh my God. I was like, I can change it 1%, name it anything you want. But it's,
Yeah.
there's lots of little weird challenges like that. There's so many like navigating all the different personalities, I think, is like the hardest part of my job.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
How do you guys navigate that part, actually? I'm very curious. And how much wiggle room do you give for all of these decisions to be made?
God, that's a good question, because some clients just take a lot more than the other one. And, honestly, sometimes you got to just pawn it off on your brother and say, you got to deal with it. Wow, I can't. I'm spent, I mean, some people, will wear you out. Some people are awesome. And
Funny, some people will prepay you so much, you got to tell them to stop sending you money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, and some of them, you got to beg,
yeah, chase them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have that in the shop too. And it's like, that's another thing that it's like somebody wants to pay so much because they think that's going to expedite the process, but you still have to do the work. It's like, can I give you some more money? It's like, well, it's not going to happen any faster because I can only work so much. And then the other guy, I got to work twice as hard just to get the money back out of him. So I have one question quickly before I forget. It's because you guys have a very, very distinct style. And we get like every other customer comes in the shop, loves your stuff. Like, I want Ring Brothers hinges. I want this, this. We have a car that's just loaded down with your guys' parts right now, which is amazing. So when you have somebody come in, because this happens to us quite often, it's like, I love your guys' stuff. You're amazing. It's perfect. I love everything about what you do, but can you build this? And you're like, what? Like, it's got to be the most frustrating question for us. Like, because when people come in, it's like, I love everything you guys do. And you're like, okay, cool, let's do it. But they're like, I want this to be like this, and I want this to be like this. And you're like, that's not what we do.
Well, you usually stick to your guns, and they came to you because obviously they like what you do.
Mm-hmm.
They think they want something else, but it's cool. We get that too. We still get it, but it's like, it just doesn't happen. It just comes out the way we did it, and hopefully we can talk them into that it's cool at the end. But you got to stick to what's inside, or it's no fun. It's not who you are, and you are, you don't want to be the guy that just copies what's in a magazine. That's
Yeah, that's so true.
really fun. We've never really done that. We've just, that's the hard part again, is educating the customer on it. Just doesn't work that way, and we don't feel it. And
Mm-hmm.
you trust us to do, you came to us because you like what we do, and it'll be different, but why would you want something that's already been done?
Yeah.
We argue a lot and about things, and he's like, well, you don't like it because you've never seen it. And it's so true. Customers seem like they got us. Oh, they saw color. It's the baddest color. I got to have that color. I said, well, that would probably look like shit on your car.
Yeah.
Not right. But, yeah, you really gotta educate them and have them trust you for what you've done before, and copying and talking to them about just because they've seen it doesn't mean that that's the way to do it again.
Yeah, that's so true.
Those people have to see it before they will accept it, and somebody else has to tell them it's cool, right?
Yeah.
We call it getting
Hard for them to step out and do something that nobody's seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the red flags for us is always like when what we call it like putting it before the council. So they take it, go talk to all their friends, and then they come back with this whole new batch of ideas, and you're just like, yeah, individually, those are all cool. But if we try to put those all into this car, it's just not gonna work. So then you're spending another 3 days talking them back, and then it's like this delay of this back and forth of them checking with their friends, and no matter what you did, it's like we put a supercharged Wagner, and it's like, oh, you should have put this in. It's like, and then that's another week, and you're like, what about this? It's like, well, we already have this. Like, you want to go do that now? Like, holy. So it's a wild ride, but I'm glad that you guys experienced it too.
Trust me, everybody has the same.
Yeah.
Same. You talk to Troy, you talk to any of them, and we're all the same, and they all. I think the hardest part is that people, when they're done, think it's a Honda and that it's going to run for 400,000 miles and everything's new parts. And why does it overheat, or why did the starter go, or why doesn't the window work, or why is there a rattle? Why, it's like, shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We didn't intend it to be in there. We didn't intend to drop that bolt in the door.
Yeah, you could use the best of the best parts and you could still have some issues. I mean, you never know. But
Absolutely.
One thing we started putting into all of our stuff is like a shakedown period, because generally most of the customers traditionally, you tighten that last bolt and they're heading down the road. Whereas now we don't let them leave until we put some miles on them, because it's like, I think I heard you mention in another podcast, is like the worst possible thing is seeing your trailer on the side of the highway loading up a car. And we just won't do it anymore. It's like, I feel like I'm married to these guys. Like I'm on call, like roadside assistance for the first 3 weeks. So now I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like now this thing is going to be fully dialed before it goes home.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
yeah.
We used to have to drag a magnet behind a follow-up vehicle just to pick the bolts up.
Oh my God.
Oh, come on.
No.
No, but you want to talk about whatever could happen.
Yeah.
Literally, we had a Blazer that we were doing a photo shoot
And filming for some.
and the left rear came off the vehicle.
what?
For a minute.
Oh.
And Rick kept it up on 3 wheels for a while. And then that tire passed him and took out a highway sign. And yeah, so whatever can happen. And it's on video somewhere.
Oh, man. See, it can happen to the best of us, eh?
Yeah. So what does your shakedown period look like? Like, do you guys do like 1,000 miles or like 500? Like, or it just depends? Or do you have any?
You get 500 in them. Normally we're just like, because you really try and button them all up, but it seems like you keep driving them. There's more.
There's like a point of diminishing returns almost, eh?
We're back to the same thing we fixed once.
We did a 64 convertible few years back and just got it done. No miles on it. I mean, maybe put 100 miles on it. Guy decides he's going to come down from up by Superior, which is way north of us, 5.5 hours from where we are. Has his buddy drop him off down here. He jumps in that thing. He's driving. We had no idea. I have no clue. Like, even if you know how it works. I didn't sleep all night and probably drank a bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
Turned my phone off, but he made it home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but we all know it's like, and then people go, "Are you sad when they sell them?" And I'm like,
Dude, I'm pumped. We have cars that we did 15 years ago and they just never go away. Like they're all like, they pop in, and not just from a mechanical aspect. It's like they pop in and chat you up for an hour and talk about doing new little things. And you're just like, man, just go drive this thing, please, and leave me alone for a while. I don't want to look at this car anymore. So when they're like, yeah, I'm thinking of selling, I'm like, please sell it into the States. That's where you're going to get the most money.
I would say the same. Take it to Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Like, I love you, but let's do something new.
Yeah.
I don't know. Trump gets his way. You might be in the same state. How you make?
Oh,
I know. That's right. In the area.
that's right. I'm not completely opposed to it at this point. It's pretty rugged up here.
It's honestly not too bad.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
Oh my gosh, so funny. And so like, do you guys or have you guys built cars for like since you started like producing parts and all? Have you guys built cars for yourselves, or do you still build just cars for customers? And how does that look like?
We can't afford to build one for ourselves. We'd have to build two, and that ain't happening. You tried it, but it just doesn't work because who gets to have it?
Yeah.
He beats the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I think we have a similar.
Yeah, we have the
situation
same
over here.
situation here.
We've tried sharing things and it just doesn't work out.
No.
No,
No.
it'd be like sharing your wife. It doesn't.
Yeah, no. It's just ends up in
Especially when it comes back broken all the time from the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't put that dent in it. Hell, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the reason I asked was just because like but you guys' success came over like a long period of time and through a lot of trials and building a lot of cars. You built your Evo. I don't know if you guys saw, it's like a Mercedes 190 with a twin turbo LS and things that he built a few years ago.
Yeah, so basically, I think I sat in at a builder's panel that you guys were on at SEMA. I don't know who was actually speaking to it, maybe Troy, but I was the guy in the front row, like, and then he spoke about like the transformation of his business is kind of when he went all in as a shop project. Like I gotta, because I'm sure you guys have heard it a million times. It's like, when this is done, I'm going to take it here, there. You guys can take it anywhere you want. Like, get you your own keys. It's going to be awesome. You take it any shows you want. And then you're like, hey, can I get the car to go to this show? They're like, yeah, I was going to, I got a thing on the weekend. And you're like, so we basically leaned all the way in and built, I guess, technically a shop car to kind of, so that we could go all in and do what we wanted exactly the way we wanted to do it. And it has had a massive impact on our business because now we have this showpiece that people can come see what we're capable of doing, and we have complete and utter control of it. So, yeah, I just wondering if you guys had ever done anything like that, because like listening on the builders panel, that's kind of where like it seems like it was the turning point for a lot of builders.
Yeah, I mean, we started out, like I said, building cars because nobody knows you, and building them, selling them, trying to take it to SEMA, and we did that. But now, honestly, it's too expensive to take these cars and turn them around. We're just lucky enough now that we have work from what we've done before, but everybody, I think, wants to go to a show and find that same guy that all the other car builders are trying to find at the same show, when honestly, they're in your own backyard, and we never realized it for years that
He's talking about customers. The customers are in your own backyard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, to run around the country showing the thing off, thinking that's what we needed to do, we found that we could just stay local, and there's a lot of.
I can honestly tell you, I mean, there's no one particular car that I ever remember we got from doing all them SEMA shows, or one particular. I don't know if we've ever got a project from going to SEMA all of our life.
That's wild.
Like, nobody ever walked up to us and said, hey, I want to build a car at SEMA, ever.
Wow.
So I don't know where they come from.
Chris McBee did, but that
isn't SEMA. That is at a good guy.
It's just that you just keep getting your name out there. You Khan's done a good job getting our name out there, keeping it out there, and you just don't know where they come from. Honestly, we don't know. They just, but I can tell you, you get 500 inquiries to every one you'll ever do, at least for us. It's like, I don't know where the fuck these ghosts come from, but they just fuck with you, and then they're gone.
Yeah. In the early days,
a lot of time.
Yeah, in the early days, we found we were like doing all those shows and traveling and all that kind of stuff. We were almost advertising for local shops, because we would take stuff there and then they'd like, hey, I want something built exactly with those guys. And we didn't have anything follow us home. And then now it seems like now I get inquiries from like Dubai and Ireland and all over these wild places. And you're just like, I don't know if this is real. Like, how much time and effort do I put into this to try to, like, I have enough struggle dealing with local customers, never mind someone on the other side of the world. So it's like now they're like, it almost seems cool that you have to have a shop on the other side of the world build something for you. It's a weird place to
That's
be.
after you take the 15 calls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
I got 45 grand to spend, and what can I get? As far as a complete build or a complete car, and like,
Yeah, there's a big disconnect on that. Like it's
Yeah, it's not an easy business, but it's rewarding.
yeah, if it wasn't for that part of it, it wouldn't be worth doing. Like I'll have customers come in that are like showing me reference photos, which I know are like $1 million, $2 million cars. And then they want you to accomplish it for like 200 grand. And you're like, okay. It's a wild ride, these guys.
Yeah, well, if you think it's going to get any better,
Well, it's mostly your guys' fault. Well, they're all showing me your guys' cars.
well, there's a lot of Ring brothers before us, the Chips, the Troys, guys that really, we all look and think, man, how do they find that customer? How do they do that? But I think behind the curtain, we're all kind of the same, we're always looking for the next great customer.
Yeah.
well, at our age, we talked about modifying caskets because I thought with friend scissors.
I'm sure you got some pretty good ideas too. Yeah.
That's forward thinking.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to go all in, right?
Literally go all in.
The Runster Shop boys like messing with us. They put us in wheelchairs and fiber shoes and IVs and they mess with us pretty good. They know we're getting up there.
When did you decide that you needed to expand beyond just building cars to like making parts for production? Like what was that turning point?
Well, I think it started because we could never find anything that we thought was cool and had quality to it. And it got to the point where you showed up at the show, especially all our life, that if you bought it out of a magazine, you get to a show and there's 20 people with the same part that you got on there. So to try to be different, we just started designing and building some of our own stuff, which then, because we're not the rocket scientists by any means, but finally, we get to a show and people are like, hey, them are door handles there are really cool. Can I get them? And the light bulb finally went off and we decided to make them, obviously for other people. So
Wow.
almost 100% of every part that we have, and we have a lot of them now, we built them for a specific project and to use.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun because you get to do different models, different makes. You're always creating products and parts for those cars. And so that's really how it started.
Yeah.
Just doing them for ourselves.
But that investment part of it, like what was that? Because you also...
It's still insane amount of money that, I mean,
it's a tough business because people, if you machine it, they can scan it and they can copy it.
Yeah.
Or you see which they do. There's 10 people out there building our stuff right now. I mean, every time you show up with something new that somebody just buys it has their buddy buy it from you and they reverse engineer it and they build it. And it's just frustrating.
Yes, that sucks.
You'll have 30, 40 grand in a set of hinges because you had to figure out the master cylinder, the throw, the geometry, the air conditioning box, that there's 2 versions on this car. And then you do all that, you figure it out, and then boom.
Yeah.
They can't steal your name. And that's what hopefully people buy, and, they call here and hopefully they get good service. And
I mean, we have people calling here having questions on other people's hinges.
Oh, yeah.
Not realizing that they're not yours. Like the technology part of it is kind of it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. Like you guys were obviously early adopters to technology because like we're sort of transitioning into 3D scanning and 3D printing. And it does make that kind of stuff so easy, but it also makes these people like very dismissive. Like you said, you got 40 grand into developing a set of hinges. And it's like, they think you can just scan it and print it and away you go. It's good. We'll have them tomorrow afternoon. So it's like the other side of it is, again, you're educating the customer that like, there's just as much time and effort in this as if I was to sit here and hand whittle these things in the computer. It's just a different path of where you're going. So, but it does make everything a lot better. But the brand side of it, again, like we're touching on it, how easy it is, like, because we've developed a few little parts for different platforms, and it's like, aren't you worried about these guys ripping it off? It's like, we just got to get it out there as hard and as fast as we can before they do, because it's inevitable. They're going to do it. And then, like, I just had a company offer to manufacture stuff, and they send you this NDA that's like 14 pages long, and then you get a lawyer to look at it, and you scan this thing, and it's like, basically it's barely worth the paper that it's written on. It's like, this is all for show. Like, it's, so it's another.
Manufactured for you, all right, but once they start doing that, then they have their own brand going out there, competing against your own stuff.
Yeah, you just jump on Alibaba and you can see that happening.
Yeah, but I think it kind of like comes down to like how you were talking about. It's like, it's about your name, right? Like, it's Ring Brothers product, and people want that. Like, yes, of course you can buy a knockoff, but it doesn't hold the same weight.
No.
There's something to be said about that, and we oftentimes will find ourselves, paying more for like the actual brand name and create like a history, and like I don't know, like you get married to like products and what they represent.
So I think the brand side of it is almost as important as the making the parts it's yourself.
Yeah.
Because like the parts, there's only so many variations of something that you can do, but like I know when I buy your guys' stuff, I have an expectation of how well it's going to work and what it's going to look like and how it's finished. So it's like, I'm not so much invested as into the aesthetic anymore as I am the brand and what I know that's going to bring. So it's been a transition for sure. Like there's a lot of whizzy looking stuff out there, but half of it's junk. So like,
right. Yeah. And we really try to do a good job. It'd be nice to come out with more products, but they are expensive to develop and continue to grow. That is a challenge. And, but we try hard. I mean, we definitely have always said our brand is what, we'll have at the end, besides this wore out two brothers with the wore out building and tools. It's, you want to have a brand at the end of the day that you guys, that you do what you say you're going to do. And,
yeah, no doubt.
That's really what we've tried to do.
Yeah, and when it all comes down at the end, your brand is worth a lot. Like, you'll have created sort of like a legacy that can carry on as long as that brand sort of core belief, can be solid enough that it can keep going. But that's great.
That's what we hope. That's what we've, that's why you give away a lot of stuff and do the right thing, is because at the end of the day, that's what you definitely want, is that name, that brand that people feel good about when they own it or talk about it.
Yeah.
Speaking about brand a little bit, your cars have a certain aesthetic. Once you see it, you almost know instinctively that it's a Ring Brothers car. So like, how did you guys develop that brand? I don't even know what to call it. Like that brand image.
I think everybody has their style. And I don't know, we still haven't figured that out. I mean, people tell us that all the time, and we don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, people say, I come around the corner and I knew that was a Ring Brothers car, and we're like, we don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
It probably could be the R in the grill that they're seeing.
But it's funny when people say that, because like we talked earlier, you just do what's inside you. And it's fun that people say that they can see, like you said, that you come around and you instinctively know we could have done it. And that's a pretty big compliment. And that's what, for you and for everybody to do, is to do what's in you. And you will have a design, a style that you don't even realize you have. But after years of doing what's inside of you instead of copying what you thought somebody else did, it meant a lot, because, we started out, probably when we started out, everything was smooth, door handles, everything was tucked super tight, covers over the engines. And, if you go back to our early cars, they were probably too much stuff thrown at them, but we liked scoops, we liked wires, we liked bolts, we liked, when everybody else was super hiding everything, we were kind of putting it in your face. And I think we've really stuck to that today. Very mechanical, industrial kind of feel. We definitely tried to refine it, not change things just to change them. And if we did to change things, you know, a lot of people want to change things. If they're going to put a spoiler on it, they want to make sure you know they did it, right? It's got to be fucking 6 inches
Attached.
tall.
Yeah.
Like that's the hard part.
It's hard to do a lot of work and have nobody notice sometimes, but they end up noticing and they don't know what they're looking at, but they feel like it's different and better.
I think like
Sometimes that can be hard too, because when you push the envelope on some of this stuff so far that you show up and we've talked about this before, you show up with a vehicle or whatever and people just, I don't know, wrinkle their nose or just don't think it's that cool. And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, somebody else does something almost exactly the same. And it's the coolest thing on the, it's like, it's like what Mike said earlier, you've never seen it before. Sometimes you just don't get it until somebody else does it again. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
it's just got to find its right time. Like we were guilty of that back in the day, doing all the smooth stuff and hiding things. And it's like, it seemed cool at the time until you had to change a $5 part and it took you all afternoon. So it's like, we've evolved into like, hey, how is somebody going to be able to work on this? And it's like, is this something that I actually want to drive? So like, that's one thing I appreciate about your cars is like, every time I look at it, it's like, I want to drive this car. Where some of them you're like, I don't want to drive that thing. Looks like a nightmare. So it's like, and then to the credit of like how you guys have your aesthetic and it's hard to explain. It's like the fact that it covers so many different genres of vehicle, like even the Rolls Royce, like you can see within a certain platform, like, oh, that Corvette's obviously built by this guy. This Mustang's obviously built by this shop because that's what they do. And they just keep doing it and it's built to a formula. But like the fact that I can walk by the Rolls Royce and I suspect right away that you guys built it. And then, you know, the Cuda and like all these other cars, it's like, I don't know what it is. And like you say, you probably don't either, but it's just the overall, it just looks like it needs to be driven kind of thing, which is rare because we came off of a 15-year period where everything just looked like an absolute nightmare to drive.
Well, we learned early on the shake door handles don't work so well when he tore mine off my old Pontiac.
You gotta leave I almost one on the car.
Kind of always wondering if that's kind of where it all began. You're like, that actually doesn't look bad.
Yeah, it's been a good ride. Looking forward to debuting a few more cars. We got a really cool Aston Martin we're building. We kind of wanted to always do something European. We're doing, I never knew what it was. I mean, you could look it up because it's a 1971 Aston Martin DVS.
That's pretty
Doesn't
cool.
look anything like it, but that's what we started with. You know, we were lucky enough. Jim had a guy call him and asked him, what would you guys want to build? And he said, well, we always want to do a European like muscle car. And the guy actually Googled European muscle car. This car showed up, the 71 Aston Martin. And he bought one and we're in the middle of it. We're hoping to have it done by August, which would be a big chore if you saw it now, but we're hoping.
Are you guys staying on brand as far as power plant and all that kind of stuff? Say no.
Oh, I mean,
Yes.
we did reach out to Aston and they kind of said they didn't have the bandwidth right now to help us as far as even like with the motor or getting it. And one thing we don't want to do is get in something where we can't get it to run.
Yeah.
Troy had a hell of a time with a Mercedes one time he did, and we've been that route. Things are cool, but don't work, and it's probably above our head. So it's going to have a supercharged Coyote in it because Ford was with Aston for a while.
Yeah.
And Roadster shop, independent, you know, Scan 911 stuff. So it's got true pin drives on it. We made all the uprights and full carbon body. It's pretty neat car. I mean, I'm learning a lot like glass. My first glass bit. How much you think for 4 pieces of glass?
I'm going to say 50 grand.
Shield, side glass, and back glass.
50K.
50?
How much?
50.
Nah. I see like
92.
90. Wow. Oh my.
And that's USD too. That's like,
Holy.
Didn't go that route, but that was my first bid. I had no money in for glass. But
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a lot to eat. 92,000.
Glass in it, and we gave him a set of goggles.
Yeah, there you go. We're going a different direction.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, that's pushing the envelope.
You learn a lot about truly almost scratch building something to this level. It's
Wow, incredible.
crazy.
Yeah, we had a customer back in the day that came to us because he had built a car in the shop, had talked him into chopping the roof on like a 67 Nova. So it showed up to us with no glass. And I was like, nope, I don't want any part of this. And it's like, he was like 300K in at that point and still didn't have windows. I was like, this wasn't a consideration when they just, casually cut an inch out of your roof, and it ended up with plastic windows, like this beautifully built car, just right over the top plastic windows.
Yeah, I won't do that. We ended up finding a different way. We luckily the profile of our glass of our front windshield and back were the same profile, and then we water jetted them, 5-access water jetted them. So, knock on wood, the test one's the front one's not figured out yet, but we'll be able to use the front, and we just have to make the side glass. That's a lot better.
Yeah, a lot more reasonable for sure. Not 92,000.
Wild. What?
Wow.
I was like, I about had a heart attack.
That's so
At my age, those come on pretty quick.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to seeing that car. Are you guys keeping it under wraps, or are you allowed to show it off, at this point in time?
We haven't shown it at all. Just the Stig. I don't know.
Ben Collins? Yeah.
He knows about it. He did a little video at SEMA on it at the end of our thing.
Oh, wow.
It's just a rendering he's got, but nothing really in progress. Right now, it's just it's got a clamshell hood, and that's a big cost. Building that part, the plug for that. So the back end of the car is pretty well done, drivetrain, all that. It's pretty tough because you think of it as like you have a bunch of potato chips, basically the carbon that you make, and then you got to build to that potato chip, but you don't have the whole car yet. So how do you hold this potato chip without cracking it or breaking it and build to that structure at exact height? So the door, you know what I mean? It's like crazy. It's
I'm just sweating thinking about it. Wow, it is pretty cool that you guys don't stay married to one platform or one, like you were saying, you had him build a British car, or like you did the Rolls Royce, or it's pretty cool to see you guys are doing all of it. Like you're not just doing like just Chevys from the 70s or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of known for just Mustangs, and now, shit, I think people think we are Mopar guys now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun to do something. We all want to do something different, right? I mean, it's just being able to get the customer to be creative. And everybody, like I said, they want another 69 Camaro, but I'm pretty well spent on that.
Yeah. We struggle with it a lot in the shop because our shop, we have like an RSR clone and a 28 Bentley and a Skylark and like a bunch of like, we're all over the place. But it's like sometimes you think like maybe we should just stay on platform and try to make some money at this for a while instead of just beating our heads on these cars all the time. But it never seems to work out. Like we're just all over the map. It's a lot more fun, but
Make money.
Yeah, no, it comes back to that passion and that grit and a little bit of
We need to talk.
I was hoping to get some insight, but you guys, you did the same formula. Just go all in and stay hungry.
Yeah, that's the only car builders I know. But you know what? There's some of the happiest people I know too.
Yeah, we keep waiting for that turning point, but it seems like we're just going to keep going and we're just run out of time. But I'm starting to accept that fact.
Yeah,
we finally got that $400 a week down to 150.
That's a victory. Yeah.
You know how you become a millionaire being a car builder, don't you?
Yeah, you got to start with 3, I think it is.
Start with 3 is right.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Oh yeah, I guess it's more the passion in the journey than the destination, huh? Yeah.
I think so.
We've met some pretty cool people over a car.
Yeah.
We've been blessed, think about living in a town of 600 people, and the people Mike and I have had the opportunity to meet was pretty cool.
So
Yeah, no doubt, isn't it? Like we've had the opportunity with a blessing to, speak with guys like you and meet a lot of really great people, a lot of like-minded individuals. And it's been really cool. This car industry, the culture that we found ourselves in, it's a good time now,
Yeah. And that's
It's
like
pretty
even the inception of the podcast is like, it's kind of how it all started. Cause here locally, it's like very competitive. Everybody kind of hates each other. But then we started traveling and we had a bunch of cars at SEMA and done all that kind of stuff. So we started trying to lean into the relationships and talking to the other people. And like, it's pretty amazing. Like people will tell you whatever you want to hear. Like we have tons of great conversations, but like I say, traditionally here, because a lot of the shops here, even though it's a big city, it's kind of they feel like you're fighting for the same customers, which isn't the case. Like I've never had that happen, but it's still kind of that vibe. But like even reaching out to you guys and reaching out to a lot of guys that you would think would be so absolutely unapproachable because they're such a big deal, they've been nothing but nice to us. So I mean, it's been great. Like it's an amazing resource.
Cancer.
What's that?
I said, there ain't none of us curing cancer. Well,
Yeah, nobody needs what we're doing. So
I always thought we got a farm out here. We've talked about getting all the car bills together, and anytime somebody mentioned a car, they have to throw $100 in a jar, and then we'd have a raffle at the end of the weekend. Some car builder would go home pretty wealthy.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
No, we're just lucky to be able to build things, what other people want. And for whatever reason, God gave us the smell of that gasoline at a young age, and you just can't kick it. You either have it or you don't. And there's people that want to try to buy it. You just can't. It's in you. And that's why we're probably some of the craziest people to work as hard as we do for as little as we do, and still be happy at the end. So
awesome.
it's such a satisfying thing at the end, when you see what you do and you see the reaction of other people, that it doesn't get old. You don't have to win. We used to try to measure everything if we won, or, now we don't even enter anymore because it's like, you don't want to be rude, but it's not the same. It's just, you don't get the same feeling as you did the first time you won it. You almost want other people to experience that feeling, right? I mean, because it's pretty amazing. Yeah. But when you get numb to it, it's just not as cool. And it's a lot of work, to enter all those things and do that. But at the end of the day, people still come by. You don't have to win. They still come by to see what you've done. And, so that's what's so great about it is you don't even have to win to be a winner in this.
So good.
Because it is so it's
our mother had a saying, if you can get over the dog, you can get over the tail. I've said it a million times, but it's basically this stuff's tough, and if you put your mind to it, you can finish it. So.
That's good.
So for all these young shop owners, because we get a lot of people that sort of lean on us, and like, I don't know why, but because I don't think, we're an authority on anything, but we get a lot of inquiry, and it's like chasing that first show. And it's like the perception when you're first starting is like, okay, we got to build this car. We got to win this show. Is like, you still feel that that's the formula? Like, is that a necessary step in this whole journey? Because we were the exact same. We're like, in the summertime, like we might be home like 10 days in the summer. We were literally bouncing from one show. Like we'd be working, the last 4 days before a show, you slept 4 hours, jump in the truck, and then now you're on tour showing this thing off every possible place you could. And it seems like it was part of the journey, but I don't know, like the way things have transitioned now with social media and all this kind of stuff, and the fact that you have such a reach to show your work. Do you think it's still part of the process? Like, do you think that's still something that you need to experience and be a part of?
I just don't think Jim and I have the fun in doing that. I mean, honestly, you work so hard, you just don't want to talk cars on weekends anymore. Some guy, for me, I'm not a techie guy, but when somebody comes up and wants to show you their thing, and then they're on their phone, and then it's like, oh, it's a new phone. Hang on.
Hang on.
And trying to find their pictures they want you to show you, and you got 4 guys lined up behind him to do the same thing. It just wears you out, and it's just not as fun anymore. So yeah, I think our approach has definitely been the social side with Con, to relieve us of that, because I used to
Corey knows.
yeah.
My wife always asks me why I don't have a car. You know, your brother's got a car, your friend's got a car. And I said, because I'd be driving it on the weekends on my time off and I have to stop and get gas and somebody want to talk about cars.
Yeah.
For an hour.
That's so
That is a very unfortunate burden having something amazing. Everyone wants to talk to you about it.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about your kids, or it's always
Yeah.
It's like you almost go out of your way to have like a beater. You're like, I don't want to talk about cars right
We get it all the time. Like we have a shop full of cool cars, and I love driving the shop van home just because I don't want to have to endure all that.
Well, you guys are smart enough to do a podcast, so
I don't know how smart we are, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah, I just love having conversations.
Yeah, I know. My wife is always like, whenever I come home, she's like, you go to work, you work with cars all day, you come home, you watch car shows, you talk about cars. Like, what about me?
yeah. No. Pretty soon she won't be there if you keep talking about cars.
I know.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a balance. I think the kids were the best part. When we had kids, it changed a lot.
Yeah.
Forces you to change your focus a little bit and step away every once in a while.
100.
In the early days, it felt like every time you step away, everything was going to fall apart. But now it's like you can take a day off every once in a while and, put your focus where it needs to be. And it always seems to be there when we come back. So
Yeah.
It sure does.
What does that balance, or what did it look like for you guys? That balance between family and work, or family versus building cars.
Family is definitely huge. I probably spend too much time here, but I really do enjoy it. Because now my
what is our
kids
most time? You spend 7 days a week, bro. Okay, on Monday I come in, I said, has Steinhoppel's been here? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, I got a bed being delivered here for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you just get more done when nobody's around, and you just can think and
we get more done on the weekend than we do during the week, it seems.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do customers drop by your shop, or like, do you guys have like an open door, like, come on in, or because you're also running a business and you have to work. So what's that balance? And do you guys just like shut doors for a bit and work, or?
You'd be surprised how many shop tours we do here a year.
Well, you mentioned it earlier about how people just think it's to them it's a hobby. So obviously you don't have to make a living, and they can come in and bug your employees and talk all they want. And they think it's it's hard. It's hard to have people come in and just expect you to just give them a tour every 2 minutes. And
Yeah.
we've gotten a lot better on that they have to schedule it with the girls, and somebody will take them around, and typically they don't even know who Jim and I are. We're just hiding in the corner.
We literally just
Got to tell the Snap-on guy that he can't spend 2 hours talking to every employee.
Yeah, I think that's a
if he does.
That's a real thing. I was like, man, you're going to have to start kicking in on some wages here, because they're on there for an hour. And he always seems to come right after their lunch break. Why don't you come during their lunch break? Like, I'll pay you to come during their lunch break.
Yeah, and the guys act like they're going to buy something and look at that magazine and then just hand it back to him and never buy anything, but they waste 10 minutes every time he shows up.
10 minutes, man. You're doing great. The easy half an hour around here.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. There's builders that build cars just for SEMA versus building it for clients versus this is a SEMA car and it doesn't work after that, or you never see them drive.
Yeah, you never see it again.
Yeah. So
Go ahead. No, we tend to build cars for customers that we take to SEMA. I don't think we've ever necessarily built a SEMA car per se, but you definitely see SEMA cars, and then they just sort of tend to fade away and disappear. So
yeah. So have you guys built a car just for a show before, or no? Never?
Never.
Okay.
We've just used SEMA for a platform to debut the cars that we built for a customer, not for a show, not to go to the Roadster show, not to go to the Grand Night. You know, now the Riddler, that's just never been us to build a car to win a show.
Yeah.
You can't promise that to any customer, nor do we even honestly care. It just was SEMA really put us on the map, I believe, as far as at one time there's a lot of media there, and I truly believe it put us on the map as far as people noticing us all over the world, is because I don't know where you can go to get that exposure. And that's really, we come prepared when we go to SEMA. We have photo shoots done. We do all the media legwork. We write the stories. We have everything done. And we pass it out because today, you'll see our stuff. If you just Google Ring Brothers SEMA, there's hundreds of articles written, and they look the same because we free wrote them, pretty much. Eric and them wrote them. We had professional photos. We did all the work for the magazines.
Yep.
And then they just plugged it in, and it's been a good success for us that way.
Yeah. At our shop, we make it to document or to show the build process of like all the builds. But do you guys think you would ever do that, or have you guys considered showing some of the build process? Because for the most part, you guys keep a lot of things under wraps until like SEMA, and then you guys share more details about it. But have you guys ever considered like documenting the builds that you guys do? I've always been curious. I'm like, oh, I wonder how they did what they did, or is it like a trade secret?
It was more in the beginning that we didn't, because everybody's kind of building the same kind of car, Camaro, Mustang, that you kind of wanted to keep it. It was always something we felt we were doing you hadn't seen, so we wanted to keep that because we all know it takes a long time to build these things. But I think we just got so used to doing that and lazy probably that we didn't post it, that we're kind of still in that same groove. It's not really intentional.
Yeah.
But I guess if we thought there was a big interest, we'd probably do more of it.
Oh yeah, I think you guys would kill it on social, like videos, like, because that way it also shows people, because it's easy to see something that you did and be like, oh, you don't know the amount of time that went into door hinges, for example, or a handle or something simple. But like, if you can show the process of from concept to pretty much finish, from start to finish, like I think there would be like a huge interest for that. So I wasn't sure if like you guys have considered that, or, and you can also.
Yeah, that's kind of how we got into the whole social media thing, was mostly to try to counteract all those TV shows. So like we started documenting stuff and posting stories of like the start to finish, just because like people's expectations, like they'd watch all these shows on like Sunday night and they just come in hot Monday morning, like expecting their car to be done by Friday. And you're just trying to explain the amount of hours and even on their builds. So it's like, we started doing these little sort of step-by-steps of how much time it actually takes to do these things. And then, people have got a great response to it. But, I mean, it takes a lot of effort to do, too. Like, it's a whole nother job. And then trying to schedule and keep the steps in line. So Elvis is basically here full-time doing that. But it's definitely helped with our customers being a little more educated, because they're impressed by it, too. But if they just go away and they expect something to be done and they don't see how much effort it was, it's hard to get them to pay for it. So it's been a good tool for that. But the way things have changed, it's like half our business now is social media and the other half is actually doing the work. But I mean, you guys have been great at like in leading up to this. Like I've probably watched 10 of your guys' interviews. Like you guys are really articulate at telling the story. So it's, whether you think you're good at it or not, you guys are really good at it.
Whatever, Ryan does a good job with that stuff when he does do it.
Yeah, we have Ryan that does social for us. He's doing more, and my son does a lot of the video, and with him, we're trying to do a little more. It's just, honestly, it's just not who Jim and I are. You know, it's just kind of even goes back to, we've had a lot of opportunities over the years to do TV and stuff, and we're just like, it's just not who we are. It's not drama. We're not drama. We don't need it.
Well, we got plenty of drama. We just don't
Yeah, so it's just not who we are. And I don't know. sometimes I feel like you're bragging, and it's just
But clearly, like, I look at your guys' stuff and I've been following it for a long time. So you talk about being old, I guess, but clearly and you're from a very small town, but you guys have embraced all these things, like all these different technologies, and you've done really well with it, like social media and carbon fiber and scanning and CNCing parts and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't necessarily know if I believe your very humble approach. Like, you seem like, what made you guys lean into this kind of stuff? Because like my experience was, like if you're that far detached from all this kind of stuff is like, this is never going to last. This is, snake oil. This is that. Like, there's got to be a process in place that you guys obviously put some time and effort into doing the research and seeing what's going to be a good tool for your business. Like, what does that look like?
Well, it came from because we are such a small area. We don't have a machine shop down there, or we don't have an interior guy. We don't have. So it was like, either if you're going to get serious, you better figure it out what you can't do. And, you're going to have to do it here.
Yeah.
Because there is nobody down the street or in a city. We're not near the big city that has that. So it's just things we wanted to have or wanted to make that we knew we had to either buy the equipment, find the people, or not do that.
So it's worked to your benefit then.
Yeah.
Huh?
Being isolated, semi-isolated is work to your benefit. Like, we've always seen that sort of connection to all the wild stuff that comes out of like New Zealand and all those kind of, it's like, we're stuck on an island, so we got to do it ourselves.
I think that's cool. Like, because if you live in a place like California where everything is like widely available, I mean, we wouldn't really need to like set up shop in-house and do everything, keep everything in-house. And yeah.
You could just be a project manager, right? And just project manage a job and get parts and get this made here, there, and bring it back and assemble. So that's really the reason. We just didn't have any other way to get it what we wanted. So we had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to be the driving force for most of us. Like, creatively, if you're like, there's no one else around that can accomplish or no one that I can get to do what I want to do, you pretty much are forced to do it yourself. Step up to the plate and figure it out.
I think some of the coolest things we've ever made are just out of not being able to get it from anybody else. So,
well, and I think that's how we even started our business from the very beginning. It was like, well, I want this. That's not available. I'm going to have to make it.
Well, actually, I'll tell the story. I went in as a young guy. I wanted to buy this exhaust system for a Honda Civic. I was like, how much is this exhaust system? He's like, $3,000. I was like, $3,000? It's a Honda Civic. The guy's like, well, you can always make it yourself. So I did. And then somebody else wanted one, and then another guy wanted one, and the rest is history.
Now you wish you could build it for 2000.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm just curious of what your build process looks like. And I don't know if it varies from any car, but since you guys have done it for so long, I don't know if you have the whole process dialed from concept to reality. Like, you get the render, you figure it out, you fabricate. Like, how is that process? What does that look like for you guys?
Well, it depends on the type of build we're doing.
If they're all different, I mean, obviously, if it was a 65 Mustang Fastback, it's already in your head. You've done so many of them that, but it's all the weird stuff like the Aston Martin now and another Rolls Royce convertible here, and just weird stuff. You have to think through the entire thing. And trust me, like I said, there's still a lot of bad ideas in the dumpster out back, but it's just because they do it doesn't mean it's right.
You try to do a rendering though to start that you get the owner hooked on the idea, and then it's like it's a rendering. It's just basically to kind of cement what the direction you're gonna go, and it goes a lot of different ways to get to that point, but there's no set. Everyone's its own because of the customer. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Customer that changes the whole project.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming
We don't really have a blueprint of.
No, I mean, it must just like start right from the very consultation. Like, you sit down with your client and like, okay, well, I want to potentially do this car, and I'm looking to have these parts. I want to use this engine. I want to use this chassis. I really like these wheels and I like this color. You know, what do you think? And then like you start jotting down some bullet points, and then you guys have your own vision. You know, you Ring Brothers, you have your style, your brand, and then you take that and you must put that towards your rendering artist. Okay, these are the points that we need to hit. Come up with a sketch, and then you move forward from there. Is that kind of like the breakdown of how it sort of goes down? Yeah.
And then there's some customers that just simply let you do anything you want. They just simply don't care. We had this Aston Martin, the guy that owns it was here last week, and he dropped his brand new Aston Martin off because somebody put film on it, and when they peeled it off, it peeled the paint off the car. So he dropped that off to be repaired, and I think Mike or somebody asked if he wanted to go see his project, and he said, no, I ain't got time, just left.
Oh, yeah, really? Hey? Yeah. Yeah, sometimes every once in a while you get a client say, like, just do whatever you want. And, like, I find there's a fair amount of stress involved in that. It's so open-ended. You're like, well, yeah, I mean, we could do anything. Like, some direction is required. You guys have, like we touched on, you guys have a very distinct style. They just believe in what you guys are going to do. And so just go for it. Do whatever you want to do.
It's kind of scary when they don't really want to see their car. And the end, they open the little box up at the end. They're expecting a little baby kitty in there.
You're like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, we joked about it for years. Like, oh, if we just got a budget of this, and if they just let us do our thing, and then when you do, you're like, uh-oh, what if they don't like it? This is going to turn into a giant nightmare. But so far we've been good, but it's a whole different level of stress when they just cut you loose like that.
Yeah. So do you get that for like every project now for you guys? Because again, they trust what you guys do and your vision. So do you get that for every project? Like the customer just is like, yeah, go wild. You can do whatever you want.
No, that really doesn't. I mean, you get people that say that, but it's still got a budget attached to it. You have to have a guy say, I don't care what it costs. I hear shops say that. I've never, ever heard.
Yeah. It's like chasing a unicorn.
I don't know if you guys have, but I've never heard those words.
Usually that's like the first red flag is like, money doesn't matter. It's like, okay, you're not our guy because we're going to find out real quick that money does matter.
Yeah, or the guy that says he wants 4 or 5 cars built, it's never happening. This guy's just, why people want to mess with us builders, I have no idea.
Well, they're trying to
chase 50 for every 100, 200 for every one you'll get.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we have like 12 customers.
Snow up there?
Not yet. Usually we do by this time of year, but this year has been really mild, so.
Us too. I mean, we're talking January in Wisconsin. I could still mow the yard, which is unheard.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird year. Yeah, we live in a weird little bubble. In the lower mainland of British Columbia here, it's green grass almost year round. It's weird.
Yeah.
Go anywhere else in Canada, there's fucking igloos though.
Isn't it dark 24 hours a day by you?
Yeah, they say that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it gets dark at like, 4 p.m.?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to come to your guys' area a couple of years ago, and I went.
Sun comes back up at 3 p.m.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's like we come to work, it's dark, and when we go home, it's dark. So we just think it's dark all the time.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is here too.
We went to, which was really strange. Mike and I had got invited to go to Australia this past year, and the trip home was crazy to me because we left in the morning and we're on this flight flying back to the States. It was literally left in the morning, and it seemed like 6, 7 hours into the flight, it was dark outside again. And I'm like, this something real weird. Bro, it's such a time change.
Yeah.
It was just, that trip home was bizarre, although he didn't know he was sleeping all the way home.
Oh, that's funny.
It was a fun trip.
Yeah.
New Zealand for 2 weeks and then Australia. And I don't know.
Wow.
I like New Zealand better, but
Were you guys just guests there for like some event or just for fun?
It was a show called Motor X
Okay.
in Australia, but the guy that we built this yellow Charger for a guy from New Zealand, a race car driver down there named Greg Murphy, and he said, "Well, hell, if you're coming this far, you're going to come and see me." So we spent a couple weeks there, and then did that show at Motor X in Australia, and it was a nice experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Always good to be home. I'm sure you heard my heels clicking together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do things differently there. We have some friends from there, and they go real deep over there. They're like
big power.
big power. I don't really care about what it's in as long as it has big power.
Actually.
It's got to be a 4-door.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No, then they have these big power cars. They take the tires off and they put a set of snow tire bias plies on it, and they just
blow them off.
Pretty wild to see that.
They blow up. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
I'm curious about what you guys think about power, because these days you can get 1,000 horsepower just by sneezing, I feel like, or people say that.
Just dick measuring after so much.
Yeah.
We don't really chase the power. It's not usable. Plus, it's just another thing we got to mess with that doesn't run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so true.
So if you can get a crate motor or a Wagner that's got 1,000 standing on his head, we're lucky enough to have Casey in our backyard. So
Wow.
Wagner's good power, good people.
Plus, we're not trying to kill anybody. So
Sure.
a lot of people think they want it, and they don't have any idea what it is.
It's got 2,000. They're already afraid at 500.
I know.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Like we talk about it all the time because we're actually doing a car with a Wagner motor in it. I got an opportunity to go out there and I picked it up and drove it home. But even my car has like 1,000 to the wheels, and it's the most stupid, terrifying thing you've ever driven. And we try to tell these guys to stay around like 550, 600. And they all want that 1,000. They want that number. And like even this customer, it's like now that he's started to talk to more people that have 1,000, it's like, can we turn this thing down? It's like, buddy, you made me chase this thing and turn it all the way up, and now you want to go backwards? Like we tried to tell you, but now we got this 1,100 horsepower Wagner motor that he wants to turn down to 650. So
You drove all the way down to Marcus End to get the motor from Casey?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this was kind of a COVID deal. So it was like we had a motor in California, and then I flew to California, rented a Penske van, picked up a motor there, drove all through the night, went to Roadster Shop, ordered some chassis, left from there, and then went to Casey's shop. And because the customer is getting to the point where it was like, man, we've had this motor on forever. Like it's been a year. Like, when am I getting this thing? Did you actually pay for it? All this type of stuff. So we're kind of running out of time because of that whole nature of that whole timing. So I was like, he's like, yeah, I can ship it out today. It'll be 3 weeks. I was like, man, this thing's another day late. This guy is going to take legal action. I was like, I'm coming to get it. So I got a chance to go out there and see it. And I'm like cruising out in the middle of the farmland, and GPS is telling me to take a right. And I'm like, this is not looking right. And then you turn the corner, there's a driveway with a huge set of 11s all the way up the driveway. I was like, this has got to be the place. Little farmhouse. You go around the corner and there it all is.
He's got to had to dodge a few Amish buggies.
He's got a pretty cool setup out there, but he is super, super nice guy. But he was really adamant about me trying cheese curds. So
Hell, you were only 2 hours from me. You should have stopped at our place.
yeah, I should have. It's like, but yeah, he's like, you can't leave here until you try these cheese curds. And his wife is just like, oh my God, what is your deal with these cheese curds? But that was an adventure. I think I drove 7,000 kilometers in like 2 days, just nonstop. Our original motor from the supplier in California had gotten stolen. So then they air tagged this one. So I got there and I told them what I'm going to do. And they're like, yeah, okay, buddy. And then I got a call. We're still good friends with him now. And he's like, we were all glued to the computer because it was like, this fucking guy is crazy. And it's just like, doo, 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 doo. But we got it done. And that Monday morning, his motor was sitting there in a box and everything was good since then. But that's just one of those deals that you got to make it happen.
Yeah. How did you ever find out about Casey?
I think very much the dick measuring thing that you were talking about is he's going to all of his buddies to find out what motor he wants. And then he had to have 1,000 horsepower. And then I didn't want all the headaches associated with it. So I think I'd listened to a podcast and started doing my own research, and then everything sort of led back to Casey. And I was like, if we're going to do it, this is the guy, because nobody had anything bad to say about it. And even after that, like, there ended up being a bad batch of valve springs, and Casey called me. He's like, hey, like, if I fly out there, we got to switch out these valve springs because we got a bad batch. I hope you haven't ran the motor yet. Like, what does that look like? I was like, dude, you don't need to fly out here. Like, I'll sort that out for you. He's like, well, I'll pay you. I was like, no, we haven't ran the motor. But like, just the fact that the guy was ready to jump on the plane with a box of valve springs and fly literally across the country, I was like, that's my guy from going forward. Like, no matter.
I think he did that a few times with that bus he had with him.
Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't help but stand by that guy now. I mean, that there's a lot to be said for believing in your product like that. That's pretty amazing. So we're Wagner fans for life now.
Yeah, and Casey's pretty big boy, and he'll choke you off if you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you guys meet him, or how did you guys like know him?
Well, we actually knew his father was a very, very famous dude in our area. If you had a Wagner in any super late or any motor at all, if you had, like, we would go to racing, and Wagner was the man. But he really wasn't a street car guy, and we actually met him years ago and wanted him to build more street motors, and we were really big about getting them to try to build more street motors and race motors. So
we did that Winnebago years ago where Carl, his old man, built us the motor for it.
Oh,
I called him back. I said, this thing's like pooch. They're like, what a piece of shit, no. It wasn't 2 days later, he come down with a supercharged LS making 1,000 horse. Unloads it out of his van. Carl was grumpy. Like, he knew every swear word that was ever invented. and he got it on the ground. He looks at it. He said, just shut the fuck up now. And so we put it in that Winnebago, and it literally pulled the left front wheel off the ground.
yeah, he was a good. Did you guys ever meet the old man?
no, I didn't meet the old man. It was,
He's already passed.
yeah.
Yeah, he was super strong, like insane.
That's what I heard, that he was just a mountain of a man.
He would literally, when he was porting in his young days, he could literally take a small block Chevy, he had one hand when he was porting them, and he would just look inside the ports and just hold that head up and
Insane. What?
grab a steel small block head and imagine picking it up with one hand.
Yeah.
And he used to go to these race shops and walk in the front door wanting to get paid for the motors. And they said, well, just take them out back and put them on the dock. We'll bring a forklift around. He says, I already unloaded them. He would lift them out of the back of that bear and set them on the dock.
Jeez.
He was superhuman strength.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
So amazing.
He became really good friends with our dad.
And he actually, when he died in his casket, he was wearing a Ring Brothers hat.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So good of friends we became over the years.
You never wanted to ride with him. He was the worst driver out there. He was the fear of God in you.
But he was a gentle giant. Jim used to call him up. We'd be at McDonald's and he'd call Carl, what? He goes, we're in McDonald's, dear.
I'm going to get you a Happy Meal to cheer your ass up. Yeah.
Fuck you, you worm motherfucker.
Oh my gosh. What the?
Oh, shit. But yeah, bring me that meal.
I want to edit some of that.
I know, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
A good guy. And
Wow.
but that's how we always knew growing up, if you had a Wagner, you were probably going to win the race. And,
Wow.
and again, being local, if there's anything we ever need, Casey's here. It's just send one of his guys down. How do you not?
Yeah,
that's
He's
true.
a guy that good. That's that local.
yeah, no kidding, right? I mean, and that reputation is definitely one of the big points as to why we chose to use the Wagner engine in our sort. It's like our flagship build it's in the '69 Skylark convertible that we're building. with all of your guys' product on it.
That's cool.
Mhm.
They run hard, man.
Yeah.
I remember when we first did that Chevelle and Jim had Jay Leno. If you watch that video, Jay says he sees a lot of people say they got 1,000 horse and something. But he goes, this thing is legit. It's
If you ever get the chance, watch that video, the Leno one with Ring Brothers with the
recoil.
With the
With your-
recoil. Oh, that's the car that our customer actually fell in love with. And then that's why it's loaded down with your guys' stuff. Like, he just can't get over that car. It's like, why don't you just go get these guys to build that car for you today?
Thank you guys again so much for agreeing to come on the podcast. It's been great chatting. I just looked at the time and we've been talking for like over an hour and a half.
Yeah, this was just like the Roadster Shop podcast we did, except for they got a bourbon one, and by the time we got there 3 hours later, nobody knew where Mike went.
Where'd Mike go? I don't know.
It's fun to get Happy Meals.
Yeah. So funny.
Yeah, dude, this has been great, guys.
So next year when we're at the Roaster Shop party, I'm going to have to make a point to come up and shake your guys' hands. We appreciate this. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, no worries. Sounds good. Thanks you guys for having us.
Did you guys have like ways for people to reach out to you? Do you guys want to plug your socials, website, anything?
Ringbrothers.com.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Pretty straightforward.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Modified Trickfactory Customs. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and we will see you guys later. Bye.